Welcome to Vedic Mathematics Basis Base Values classes. We are initiating ourselves with the exposure to Shatrudra Samhita, ancient wisdom compiled and preserved with us as Shiv Puran is the ancient textbook of 5-space VMST. We in this phase 12 of Shatrudra Samhita in present lesson 69 will be focusing upon transcendental carriers. This concept of transcendental carriers is new as far as the modern systems are concerned. Modern systems have yet not conceived the concept of the transcendental carriers. Vedic systems chase existence phenomenon of solar universe along a Sthapatya miring rod presided by Lord Vishnu, the overlord of real six space, with Lord Brahma, presiding deity of four space, as the presiding deity of the Mayer of this miring rod. Along the format of a Sthapatya miring rod are the transcendental carriers carrying as Panchamahabhut to the orb of the sun, where is a seat of the origin, the pole star. These features are ultimately related with respect to the concept of a transcendental carrier. We have seen that the creators of space gives us fourfold manifestation layers, and the transcendental base provides us the additional fold. The transition and transformation from fourfold manifestation layer to fivefold transcendence range is the feature because of the transcendental base itself. Now, this fivefold organization of transcendence range, when amounts to synthesis of a pair of such transcendence ranges, a linear order transcendence range synthesizing with another linear order transcendence range acquires a synthesis value 1 parallel to the dimensional order, and this gives us value 31. We know the value 31 is equal to 31 structural components of a cube. 31 structural components of cubes are 8 corner points, 12 edges, 6 surfaces, 1 volume, 3 dimensions, and the origin. Therefore, cube, the representative regular body of 3 space in the role of solid dimension. So 3 space in the role of a solid dimension is creating a transcendental domain. Our Akash, the fifth element, the Akash of our solar universe. So the existence phenomenon of our solar universe is the phenomenon of the fifth element. Fifth element as 5 space content, 5 space content as 5 space content lump, 5 space content lump manifesting as the domain fold, and this domain fold manifesting as the domain fold of hypercube 5, the representative regular body of a 5 space. Now 5 space we know is a solid dimensional order space. 3 space is playing the role of a dimension. 3, 4, 5 and 6 are 4 folds which are making hypercube 5. Now these 4 fold manifestation layer hypercube 5 with a fifth fold as the transcendental fold makes us a value 25. It is this value 25 which is equal to 5 square. Therefore, from 5 raised to power 1, 5 in the role of a dimension, to 5 raised to power 2 as a dimension is the phenomenon which is in play. We have to understand that the synthesis of the transcendence ranges, pair of transcendence ranges of the same order synthesize. Why these synthesize? As the existence phenomenon is within a creator's space. Creator's space is a fourth space. It is of a spatial order, and the origin of the creator's space is a five space. So it is the transcendence range. So five space in the role of the origin of a fourth space, which is of a spatial order, gives us a pair of dimensions. As such, the origin, five space as an origin of a fourth space, acquires a pair of flow lines. These pair of flow lines as such within four space domain are of four steps, and the base gives us the additional. Like that, these pair of ranges. So these flows, these get synthesized. It is this synthesis process, the synthesis process of the flow lines along the axis. Four space is a spatial order space. Two space is playing the role of a dimension of a four space. Five space, which is of solid order, is the origin. Therefore, when there is a flow within the creator's space, this flow is of a pair of lines. There are pair of streams. So pair of streams, pair of flow is there within the creator's space. This flow within the creator's space is taking us up till its origin. We know five space is the origin of four space. Five space itself is of a solid order. Therefore, when there is a flow within a creator's space, so we are a four space, we are in Lord Brahma's space, here there is a flow, and this flow is of a pair of lines. These are striking, these are reaching up till the transcendental origin, which is of a solid order. As such, these pair of flow get synthesized, and here the synthesis is provided. It is this synthesis, this is this dimensional glow. Therefore, a one flow, another flow, how these get synthesized? These get synthesized as the solid order is available here. Five space as five space origin is a seal, is creating a transcendental seal. It is this transcendental seal of the four space domain which is creating a transcendental cavity. Therefore, this transcendental cavity of the four space domain gets sealed, and as a process, the pair of flows, pair of axes get synthesized. It is this synthesis phenomenon happening within creator's space which makes transcendental carriers. We can define that transcendental carrier is a synthetic setup of a pair of flow lines with the synthesis glue being provided by the origin, which is of an higher order. Therefore, when we are having this flow line as a linear flow line, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and with this synthesis provided, we get the value 31, and value 31 is equal to the structural components of a cube, which is a representative regular body of a three space, and it is this synthesis with which the cube as a solid, a three space content, starts manifesting as a organization which takes us a step ahead of fourfold manifestation layer. The transition and transformation of the existence phenomenon of fourfold manifestation layers along the format of an idol of Lord Brahma, when transits and transforms into transcendental carriers being carried by the transcendental Lord, Lord Shiva, a five-headed Lord, which is playing the role of an origin of the creator's space. Let us make a note in our notebook that the transition and transformation from the existence phenomenon as fourfold manifestation layers of the creator's space transit and transform into a transcendental phenomenon of five folds. And when the pair of five folds, pair of transcendence ranges synthesized together, then this synthesized setup makes the transcendental carriers. Vedic systems are working with whole range of the transcendental carriers. We are here at value 31 when we say the linear order, one space in the role of dimension, is creating a transcendental carrier of structural components 31, which are equal to the cube, the representative regular body of a 3 space. A step ahead, when instead of the linear transcendence range 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we are at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this spatial order transcendence range, when it synthesizes, it gives us the value 42. It is this value of 42 which will be taking us to hypercube 4. It is the 4 space content which will be playing the role of the transition, and like that sequentially with the gap here which is of value 11, further a gap here of value 11. We know value 11 is equal to the 11 versions of hypercube 5. So hypercube 5, the representative regular body of 5 space, is of 11 versions, and these 11 versions of hypercube 5 are the 11 bodies of 5 space. These 11 bodies of 5 space are the representative regular bodies of 11 geometries of 5 space, and 11 geometries of 5 space are of signatures -5, 2, +5. It is here where the mathematics gets transformed. The mathematics of 4 space is mathematics of 2 as 1 and 1 as a 2. It gives us half as a unit. It is this half as a working unit which helps us to have a synthesis for the transcendence ranges. Therefore, 5 space, which is a solid order space in which 3 space is playing the role of a dimension, itself helps us to work to chase it in terms of an half unit. It is this chase which will help us that if we revisit the setup of a cube, we will see that in each of the corner points of the cube is a 3-dimensional frame, but it is of half dimensions. Therefore, the internal diagonal of a cube at its both corner ends are embedded a 3-dimensional frames but of half dimensions. Therefore, when this pair of 3-dimensional frames of half dimensions translate inward towards the center of a cube, and with their reach at the center of the cube, where is a seat of a spatial order of a creator space, this pair of 3-dimensional frames of half dimensions synthesize. It is this synthesis process of the pair of 3-dimensional frames of half dimensions translating along the internal diagonal, and this internal diagonal, when gets synthesized, becomes the translation path. It helps synthesize the pair of 3-dimensional frames of half dimensions. There emerges one 3-dimensional frame of full dimensions. We know there are quadruple internal diagonals, and as such all the 8 3-dimensional frames embedded in the 8 corner points of the cube synthesize and lead to quadruple 3-dimensional frames of full dimensions. These quadruple 3-dimensional frames of half dimensions, together with the 5th original 3-dimensional frame of full dimensions, because of which we are having the manifested setup of cube itself, it becomes a setup of 5 3-dimensional frames, 5 solid dimensions. 5 solid dimensions make a dimensional frame of transcendental domain of a 5 space. Once we are face to face with this phenomenon, then we can proceed further with the organization of the text of Shatrudra Samhita. We have seen that Shatrudra Samhita is a scripture of 42 lessons. These 42 lessons, we can see that value 42 is the synthesis value of, it is a synthesis value of a pair of spatial dimensions. As such, this Shatrudra Samhita is the Samhita which is availing transcendental carriers of spatial order. Now, this organization of Satrudra Samhita as 42 lessons is an organization of Sthapatya miring rod, transcendental carriers of spatial order flowing along the Sthapatya miring rod. Therefore, this organization feature of this Satrudra Samhita as an organization of 42 chapters is the organization of the format of the transcendental carriers of spatial order. A spatial order, pair of spatial order transcendence ranges synthesizing together and providing us this particular form. Further, we have already seen that these shlokas of this scripture, which are of 2189, these are 11 less than 2200, and we know 22 is a value of hypercube 6, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then we know that these hypercube 6 format is of 100 times. Therefore, value 100 we know is equal to the value of a Prithvi, Apa, Agni, Vayu, Akash, Surya and Dhruv. So these are the 100 steps. So 100 steps of flow along the Sthapatya miring rod. So it is hypercube 6, the representative regular body of a 6 space, which is permitting a chase in 100 steps. And these 100 steps are the Shat means 100, Rudra means Rudra, means the 100 representative bodies of 5 space. The incarnation of Lord Shiva as 100 Rudras is the subject matter of enlightenment of the Shatrudra. We further have seen that chapter 1 of this Samhita is giving us 5 incarnations. Just now we have seen that the linear order transcendence range is giving us value 31, means it is leading us to a cube. It is leading us to a representative regular body of 3 space with 1 space in the role of dimension. Further, we have seen that the 3-dimensional frames of half dimensions embedded in 8 corner points, when translate along the quadruple internal diagonals, these lead us to 5 solid dimensions of a 5 space. So the basis of 5 incarnations in chapter 1 is having this mathematics and this technology beneath it, and this value is that 3-dimensional frame of 5 dimensions are equal to the translation of the 3-dimensional frames of half dimensions with an inward towards the center of the cube along the internal diagonals and their synthesis. The step ahead, we know the step ahead there are 9 incarnations. These 9 incarnations are to be seen. If we are at a cube, this gives us 5 incarnations. A 5-dimensional frame has been reached. With it, a step ahead, we had reached at a 4 space. We know 4 space is having a solid boundary of 8 components. So Ashtamurti is that setup, that feature of a 4 space which is enveloped within a solid boundary of an 8 components. And the 9th, the Ardhanareshwar, the 9th incarnation of Lord Shiva, which is being preserved for enlightenment, and this second stage is that we reach within a 4 space, the 9th cube, the center, 5 space as an origin of a 4 space, and it is of a solid order. So 3 space cube, 9th cube is playing the role of a dimension at the center. And we know 4 space itself is a space of a spatial dimension. We have further seen that this spatial order is responsible for the synthesis of the pair of transcendence ranges. We have further seen that the placement of the solid order transcendental origin of the creator space is responsible for the synthesis of the three-dimensional frames of half dimensions. So synthesis and split of a three-dimensional frame into a pair of three-dimensional frames of half dimensions is the phenomenon, is the feature which is happening only because of the transcendental domain. Therefore, it is this Ardhanareshwar, half Purusha, half Istri, half man, half woman. It is this organization, it is this feature, it is this incarnation of a Lord Shiva which is responsible for the ninth incarnation of this second stage of chapters 2 and 3. A step ahead. Now it is here we are reaching at when there are as many as 28 carnations. Let us have a pause here. Let us sit comfortably. Let us permit the transcending mind to sequentially chase the organization. Once we started with a cube, a representative regular body of a 3 space. Within corner points, all the 8 corner points of a cube are embedded 3-dimensional frames of half dimensions. These 8 corner points with as origins of a 3-dimensional frames, and there being a half dimensional frames being there, which translate and synthesize while reaching at the origin, which is a seat of a creator space, where is a spatial order. So the spatial order as origin of a 3 space is responsible for the synthesis and split of a 3-dimensional frame into a pair of 3-dimensional frames of half dimensions. So the Ardhanareshwar reach. A step ahead, the origin of the creator space is 5 space. Now 5 space in the role of an origin of a creator space. So where we are reaching? We are reaching at the phenomenon of compactifications of the origins. Origin of 3 space is 4 space. Origin of 4 space is a 5 space. So 3 space, 4 space, 5 space, 6 space. These all are compactified. So we are reaching vertical transcendence within the domains. Now the value 28. We know value 28 is the value of a second perfect number. 28 is a perfect number. 28 is the second perfect number. 28 accepts 5 proper divisors. 1, 2, 4, 7 and 40. There are only 5 proper divisors. We are 5 space as origin of a 4 space. 4 space is having 5 positive geometries. 3 space is giving us 5 solid dimensions. 4 space is taking us to 5 positive geometries of 4 space. 5 space itself as origin is taking us to a dimensional domain which is contained within a 5 solid dimensions. Now these 5 solid dimensions as such take us to there are 5 gaps between this range of 6 points. So first perfect number 6 as a range of 6 points leads us to 5 gaps. So this Surya, this Saur Mandal, this solar universe with Sun as a body of a 6 space. Now Sun as a body of a 6 space and 6 as a number of Sun takes us to Akash, means a space. The space between the range of 6 points is of 5 gaps. First perfect number is 6. From first perfect number 6, we are reaching at the different generic of counts of the 5 gaps. These 5 gaps as 5 proper divisors take us to a second perfect number 28. It is here where from Vedic mathematics is transcendently going different than the thought, concepts, axioms and postulates of the present day mathematics. We know the present Vedic mathematics has been held up that hypercircles 1 to 7 increase while hypercircle 8 onwards go on decreasing, and one is failed, one surrenders. The entire axioms, entire postulates and entire values, entire methods, entire techniques, may it be of vectors, may it be of matrices, may be of theories, may be of topology, everything surrenders that it is not possible to know how is it that there is happening a transition between 7 and 8. How is it that the hypercircles 8 onwards go on decreasing? See, the Vedic mathematics have chased it successfully, taking it to be that 3 space is of 7 geometries range. But at the origin of 3 space is a creator's space, which is a 4 space. And at the origin of 4 space is a 5 space, which is taking us up till the second perfect number. The transition and transformation of the mathematical tools, axioms and postulates which are held up till the first perfect number 6, when are transited and transformed into the range of the second perfect number 28, then it is here where the Shatrudra Samhita in its chapters 4 and 5 is taking us to 28 incarnations of Lord Shiva. These 28 incarnations of Lord Shiva are the chase of a 5-space domain into 28 folds. Each fold is like a circle. It is something, a domain enveloped within a boundary. It is like a circle, like a sphere, like a hypercircles, and like hyperspheres. Now we are reaching at the transcendental spheres. These transcendental spheres are 28 in number. And so the diameter of each of these spheres is well calculated and is well known. And the simple English rendering for diameter is the Vyas. We bow before the Bhagwan Vyas, the Maharshi Ved Vyas. It is the Maharshi Ved Vyas who has organized the Vedas as 4 Vedas. It is Maharshi Ved Vyas who has organized the original Shiv Puran of 100 crore shlokas into 4 lakh shlokas range, of which Shiv Puran is the 4th Puran. This 4th Puran, Shiv Puran, which is a scripture of 24,000 shlokas, is organized by Maharshi Ved Vyas. So the 28 incarnations of Lord Shiva, which are preserved for enlightenment in chapters 4 to 5 of Shatrudra Samhita, are giving us the names, designations of Maharshi Ved Vyas as 28 names. These 28 names of Maharshi Ved Vyas are organized as quadruple groups of 7 names. And this organization of the quadruple names of Maharshi of 7 names each are as Rishi, Raj Rishi, Maharishi and Brahmarishi. Therefore, we have to sit comfortably. We have to permit the transcending mind to glimpse this phenomenon of the transcendental domain, which in a quadruple evolutionary steps equal to the creative boundary of the transcendental domain organizes us for 7 steps long. For each of the steps, firstly as a Rishi, then as a Raj Rishi, then as a Maharishi, then as a Brahmarishi. These 28 names are Shvet, Sadhya, Bhargav, Angira, Savita, Mrityu, Shatkritu. These are the first 7 names. And like that, we are having all the 28 names. These 28 names are the 28 formulas. These are the formulations. These are the transcendental formulations. These are 5-space mathematics formulations. 5-space Vedic mathematics, science and technology is to be worked in terms of 28 transcendental spheres. And the diameters of those 28 transcendental spheres are these formulations. So these formulations are to be reached in terms of how many are the letters and what is the transcendental code value. All these things have been mentioned and tabulated here. So the sadhakas shall make a note that the first group of 5 sadhakas shall organize themselves in such a way that they shall sequentially chase each of these transcendental names in terms of the letters availed, the values of each letter, geometric format of each letter, and the transcendental code value of the complete formulation, and the geometric format of the formulation, and the corresponding transcendental sphere to which this diameter is taking us to. This is a big exercise. It is a blissful exercise. So in this class, of 5 groups of 5 sadhakas each may give us a 25 evaluation centers. So each of the 25 sadhakas shall independently reach at these particular values, then interact with each other. The second aspect to which we will be taking up is that we know that if we start with a circle, then we know this circle with its diameter is having 3 prominent points, this pair of 2 points and the center. The center is splitting it into 2 parts. It is this phenomenon of, say, if we are having a value 1 here, then we know this 0 is making a dimension of 2. Therefore 1, 1 and 2 will be the feature of the diameter of this. So Vedic system is working in terms of this threefold transcendent system, that diameter as a 1 space is having a 2 space as its origin. Likewise, if the diameter is of a spatial format, the origin will be of 3 and it will be giving us, and like that sequentially we can increase. Now Krishna Dvaipayan is the 28th cycle. We know it is 29 plus 29. Now 29 is the TCV value of a Brahma, the overlord of 4 space. Therefore it is Brahma interacting with itself. This interaction is of the nature of 4 space as a dimension interacting with 4 space as a dimension. We know the synthesis value is 6, which takes us to self-referral domain, that is to the sun, that is this 6 space body, that is the whole of the solar universe as it is exhaustively covered. So in this system, in terms of this chase, the Shat Rudra Samhita as 100 incarnations of Lord Shiva bring us back to the original start with position, that we have to concentrate ourselves upon all the values, features and format of an idol of Lord Shiva, a 5-head Lord with 3 eyes equipped in each of the head, and there would be 10 beautiful arms, and within the heart of the Lord Shiva is the seat of the self-referral Lord Vishnu, and within the heart of Lord Vishnu is the seat of the transcendental Lord. It is here where the 5 space with 6 space as the worship point, and 6 space with 5 space as the worship point, and 5 as 2 plus 3 and 6 as 2 multiplied 3 takes us to that our traditional classical addition and multiplication operations get unified and get superimposed indistinguishably. So the modern mathematical tools surrender, and these surrender forever. If we have to take it off, if we have to come out of this surrender phenomenon, then we have to go to the shelter of the Vedic mathematics. And Vedic mathematics takes us to the shelter of the ancient wisdom of the transcendental domain of a 5 space. Therefore, we have to transit and transform from the role of 2 space as dimension to 3 space as a dimension. It is this transition, it is this transformation for which we have to be conscious, and we have to make our intelligence to evolutionary grow in such a format that transcendental intelligence is enveloped within the creative format, and that creative format as the creative boundary of the transcendental domain will lead us to 28 transcendental spheres whose diameters formulations are as the 28 names or 28 transcendental designations of Maharishi Ved Vyas. And we know Krishna Dvaipayan Vyas, Maharishi Krishna Dvaipayan is the author of Brahma Sutra, Vedanta, the end essence of the entire Vedic knowledge. So Krishna Dvaipayan is the author of Brahma Sutra. Brahma Sutra is the essence of the Vedas. the end reach fruit of the sadhakas. We, the sadhakas, who are initiating ourselves and exposing ourselves for this ancient transcendental wisdom of Shiv Puran, shall aspire for to be of the order of the Krishna, and with it the entire Vedic knowledge will transcendently vibrate within our heart and within our soul, and with it we can say that really we are the transcendently blessed, and only those are to be transcendently blessed who are faithful and sincerely going along the transcendental carrier's path, along the Sthapate miring rod presided by Lord Vishnu, with the Mire being presided by Lord Brahma, and the transcendental carriers being carried of their own by the transcendental Lordship. Thank you very much.